Hello everyone, this is Janet from Mixed Media Mama. Thank you so much for coming back. I wanted to share maybe a little tutorial and an explanation of the page. I am using leftovers, the negatives, the little bits and bobs that I've used from the released of the David's Journal Elements collections. I am, as many of you know, I am a design team member of that beautiful team, and I had so many leftovers, as you can see in this little tin. I had so many leftovers. I didn't really use all of the things that I made or I cut out. So I wanted to use these and fill up a page in the art journal book. So I had what I did, the base. I wanted to start with the base. I have been wanting to use this U-line sack. It is just a sack that I had gotten at a art store. I think I bought some brushes, and it just is a very heavy plastic. It's thicker than acetate, it's thicker than vellum or tracing paper, but it's so flexible, so I knew I could use this. But since this is so slick, I also knew I needed to sew it because I wasn't really sure that the 3-in-1 or the Barely Art or even a glue stick would adhere it to my journal page for a long period of time. So what I did is that I cut out a piece, and I wanted to incorporate this fold here. It was just a beautiful fold because I wanted a hinge here to have a flap. I cut another piece of coffee dyed or tea dyed paper and put the piece of plastic on top of that. I used this glue, Barely Art glue, just to tack it down the two together. And then I put it through my sewing machine because I knew it would not come apart, the plastic bag to the paper, if I put it through my sewing machine. But before that, I had leftover pieces of just stuff. And I had this piece right here. These are all stamps onto Glassine paper. Tim Holtz had, a few years back, had packs. I don't believe that they have them anymore, but if you look into mom and pop stores, they may have some Glassine paper. And I just stamped on that, but I had a little piece, and so that is going to be one pocket. And then I had the leftover of the feather here, and I have found the feather at the bottom of my tin. So I used that feather and I embossed it with Tim Holtz glazes. And I will show you how to do that in another video. And so I tacked this down, and then I tacked this down, and then I sewed it all around. So it is all tacked, but it is all sewed. So it will adhere. So then I glued it to the base paper. I hope you are following along. I'm trying to explain it as best as I could. So having this little flap here, right here, I wanted to incorporate this beautiful die cut out of the butterflies. If you remember, in my envelope journal, I had butterflies in many, many layers, probably about 10 or 12 layers. And this was 2 of the Glassine paper. And I wanted to use the negative space. So as you can see in the reflection, this is mica. You can get mica. It is a rock, and they come in very, very thin sheets of mica on Amazon, and you can order it from there. But I just put mica, a couple pieces of mica between the two sheets or the 2 negatives, I should say, and then I glued around just to tack it down, And then I sewed, and that's where I sewed the hinge and sewed it all the way around. Now you say, if the Barely Art glue doesn't adhere here, but holds this, what's the difference? Well, I'm hoping that the Barely Art glue will hold the mica long enough. I did not sew around the butterfly like I did in the envelope journal, and I will link that project, that video below. I believe that the mica, because it is a rock formation, or it is consisted of something different rather than the plastic. It's still smooth, but it still has a different feel to it. And that Barely Art glue, I'm thinking that, and I really put a lot of glue there, but I know that the page is not going to go anywhere because of the hinge, and I just put a piece of Elizabeth Craft Design tape, washi tape on there, and before I sewed it. So now it is a window, and I know you can see the shine or the glare, but you can also see all of the things that are underneath, the pockets that are underneath, and I just thought that was really cool. It's using my leftovers. Use your leftovers in such creative ways. Okay, I also had so many already tags and dies and pages, so I'm just going to show you a few. I'm still working on it. This tag is a bigger size than the actual ATC card, but it will fit just perfectly in this pocket, this top pocket. I would say it's about 4 by 5 1/4 maybe. And what I did, I'm going to try to bring it up really close, and you can see the cracked look. I put David's stencil down, and I used ground espresso through that, and that is what you will see. Then I used, after I heat dried it, because it wasn't oxide, that's what I had on my table, is the ground espresso oxide. And since it is a wet ink, you need to dry it. So I put it through the stencil, heat dried it. Then I came back with my little powder duster. Before you put embossing ink on, it just helps to give a clear image of print. And then I put the numbered stencil on top, and I used my little ink dauber and put the embossing ink through that. And then I used whatever embossing ink I had. I believe it is an old embossing powder, old embossing powder that I had. I've had it probably for a long time, but it just made it. It had a lot of red base and flecks in there, and then of course the gold. It is just simply beautiful. But on the back side, I have open space for to journal. I had a little bit of a leftover piece of fiber or fabric here to make like a little tab. So that turned out to be really, really sweet. Love that, love that. So the next one is David's, and this is from his torn, I believe, torn set. I'm not sure, but I think it's the torn set because it has the edge. One of my favorite sets out of it. It's really hard to have favorites, but because of this, I just absolutely. And of course, I just put a little collage on there. I did a little stamping here and oxides and black archival ink, and I used his stamps, and I did a little bit of more embossing there. The centerpiece of a circle that went from one of his coins, just a little piece of tea-dyed paper with the blue I believe it's speckled egg, and then I just collaged it, really just collaged it, and then of course I stamped the border flower, and that has the stamps look like you sewed on it, and then the stamp of sparkle from a previous collection. And that just is, and of course it has the open space to journal on the back. So that was just a nice little way to, and these I am not really sure. I may put things on them, or I may just add a piece of ribbon through the holes and then just leave them be, because sometimes if you need to have just some plain surfaces. But I wanted to kind of show you, I'm in the starting of just using my leftovers. I will probably get to a point, it will do some still pictures to show you the finished product, but I wanted to let you come along. Thank you. Like and subscribe to me, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and let me know what you think. Bye.